everyone. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about paddle boards. For any of you that have watched my channel, you know that I really enjoy paddleboarding. And I enjoy taking friends out and exposing them to this great physical exercise, fun thing to do on these hot North Carolina summer days. So I was realizing it was very hard to rent a board, getting all that set up. One place we went to didn't have paddles. So at the end of the season last year, I decided to pick up a second board since it was on sale. And I did buy a second board. So what I'm going to do with this board is kind of put some things on it that will help protect it from someone who is new to paddleboarding. And one of those things I've discovered is because this board is a little wider, I got a more stable board than mine. Mine is only a 30-inch wide board. This is a 32-inch wide board. So I noticed when people were paddling, they have a tendency to rub up against the rails. And as you can see here, it actually warns that you could scrape up against the side of the paddleboard with the paddle. So this product is a good idea. So I'm going to use another SurfCo product today, and it is called SurfCo Rail Guard. Excuse me. It's called SurfCo Rail Tape. So we're going to be installing this today, and what that's going to do is it's going to protect these side rails for the width, or the length I should say, of the paddle stroke. And that way if my friends nick up against this, I'm not going to be as worried about it. So hang on, that's what we're going to do today. So this is the product we're installing today. It's by SurfCo Hawaii, and it's called Textured Rail Tape. It says it's a clear, textured, tough, protective grip tape for the rails of SUP boards. And what you get in the package are these two rolls. And you can see that this is the beginning of the rail tape, and we're going to go ahead and install that now. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to read down the instruction sheet just as you would if you were getting this product, so we'll be going through this together. It says what you'll need are 2 workhorses or high back chairs to lay the board on. You see I've done that here. Now if it's a used board, and this one is, they want you to go ahead and clean the rails with alcohol. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first. So they tell you that the rail tape is 72 inches long, or 6 feet. So what they want you to do is estimate where you stand on the board, and then we'll go 3 feet behind that and 3 feet ahead of that. And that should protect the board from the paddle stroke. Now, I typically stand just behind the center handle. I think the center handle is basically the center of gravity. I stand just behind it in case I come up on a wake or any choppy water. Then the tip of the board is up just a little bit. Okay, so I went ahead and marked where I stand, kind of the center of the board. And I used just a little piece of tape to mark that. And then I went 3 feet forward and marked that, and 3 feet back and marked that. Now, they recommend that you install this with 2 people. And I can imagine, because it is 6 feet. So if we start up here and it gets skewed, we're going to end up not on the rail when we get down here. But I'm going to try and do this myself and see how difficult it is, because that might be what you're facing as well. Now, one thing I did was I took the rail tape, and the way that it comes is the texture on the outside. So that when you put it on, you would be putting this end on, and you would be trying to peel off the backing underneath it as you go. So what I did was, first thing, is I took it and I rolled it backwards. And in doing that, now when we peel the backing off, it's going to be a little easier to unroll, in my opinion. Now, with this being 6 feet long, I guess what I wish they had done was put one of those split peel areas in the center of it. That might be a little easier. Then you can position that in the center, make sure that you're not skewed up or down, and extend it to 3 feet forward and 3 feet back. But we're going to see how this works. Okay, so here we go. The instructions say to pull about 2 or 3 inches of the backing off where you're starting. So I've done that. Now, I may want that second person. We'll see what happens, because we have to keep in mind a few things. One, not to put it on such that it's leveled up or leveled down. We want it to be completely even. Also, you have to keep in mind where the center of this side profile is so that you don't have it under the board or over the board. You want it right on the side of that board. So let's see what happens. Isn't too bad, because as you're going, if you need to make adjustments, you can pull off a little bit and continue. It's not like it's permanent the minute that it hits it. And one of the things that also the instructions recommend is when you're first putting it on, to only press on the center. And I'm sure that's because if you press the whole thing, then it would be hard to adjust. So what I've done here is just press the center, and now I can go back, make sure it's where I want it to be, and smooth out the edges. So I think that's going to take a little bit of effort, but that's really because you're putting a flat product on a curved surface. So we're going to have just a couple of these little gathering crease spots, I would say. But let me work on this for a little bit. Let me see how I do. Okay, so I did spend about 5 minutes getting this on there really well and working out any little creases. So I don't have any creases left over, and it all smoothed out pretty well. It's a little bit of a texture, so it can be a little rough on your fingers if you have sensitive hands, and I typically don't. So if you were going to sit here and push it for a while, I'd maybe get a set of gloves. But I've got all the bubbles, mostly all the bubbles out. I would equate this to level of difficulty, say you put shelf paper in your kitchen. It's kind of the same thing. You get that adhesive down and you hope it's perfect, and it's not. And I think you could do the same thing. If you were to get a little bubble, I'm sure you could take a little pin and pop that and get that completely flat. But I don't see a need to do that. It doesn't have to be perfect, and those, I think, would work themselves out in the heat over time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it like this. I'm going to do the other side because I have a paddleboard date tomorrow with some girlfriends, and I'm going to let them use this board, and I do want to protect it. So I like this. Especially for a second board that might get a little wear and tear. And I also noticed another benefit. If any of you have handled a wet paddleboard, you know they can be very slippery, especially if you go to put it on the top of a vehicle. So I'm noticing that with this texture, I think the board's going to be a little easier to handle, especially for somebody that's handling it for the first time. So overall, I like this product. And I'm going to go ahead and leave a link for you to buy it if you're so inclined. And I hope that was a little bit helpful for you. Have a great day.